No, you said about the washers?
There we go.
Yeah.
This is our final call of the year. We've decided not to do one the day after Christmas because I think everybody probably wouldn't be into that. And I'm going to spend that whole week between Christmas and New Year's actually for the first time in a very long time working on my own stuff. I have created a virtual shitstorm this year of all kinds of stuff that needs to get tied up and I'm going to spend that week doing it because if I don't, it'll never get done and I'll just be working on everybody else's stuff. So I'm taking that week to for me. So anyway, you guys know what time of year it is. The last call of the year, we do our year-end exercise. And for those, some of you are probably going to do this for the first time. And it's it's supposed to be painful. So if it's painful, you're in the right spot. It's supposed to be. Not supposed to be a pleasant experience. This is where you get to reveal and admit all of the evil in your business. And in most cases, the evil is just flat that there's things that you know you should have done and you didn't do them. So, I mean, it clearly is that simple in a lot of cases. And it's not just to make pain for no reason. It's so you can have a better year next year. Because all the stuff we're going to go through, and I'll talk about each thing so you're very clear on what they all mean. But any of them, if you just do one or two, you don't have to do everything. But if you just do like one or two, you will, I guarantee you, you will have a better year. So let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. Let me make sure I got yep, I got my doc up here. You guys should have got this in the email. For anybody that didn't or saw the issue, there was coming through like a file corrupt. It was because the link I gave you, I should have put HTTPS in it. So for you to fix it, when you put it in your browser, just copy that link, put it in your browser, and just add HTTPS. Everything else is the same. Then it'll download and you'll be in good shape. So if you had trouble with that, that was the problem. That's all you have to do. So let me find the share screen. Okay, and here we go. So the first thing is to put down like what you brought in 2024. And it can be rough. I mean, I know you probably haven't done your year-end accounting yet. I'm not looking for you to figure this out to the penny, but just rough, like rough idea. I mean, I don't care if depending on what level you're at, I don't care if you round off to the closest 10,000, but you need a number in there just so you can have a gauge. How much did your business bring in? And in some cases, it might be zero. If you know it's zero, that's fine. That's where the pain begins because businesses aren't supposed to make zero. And then again, this is just for outline purposes. The profit, like if you brought in $100,000, how much of that was profit? And you should have kind of a rough idea of your stuff. Like if you're selling digital products, it's very high profit. It's not 100%. Nothing is 100% profit because you have overhead. Like for instance, if you're selling digital downloads and what have you, you still have to pay your Kartra bill or your Go High Level bill or whatever. You've got associated costs to run your business. So if you brought in 100,000 and maybe you spent 20, like you guys probably have a good idea of how much you're paying out each month in service fees and what have you. So again, just round numbers. And your profit, that's how much gets to come home. That's your profit. That's what goes into your pocket. So those numbers again are it's just a thermostat. So we can measure the temperature of what 2024 looked like for you as far as success. Now we're going to start into the reason that you made that money. And again, this is meant to be painful. The first thing I start off with is list segments. Like how big are your list segments? What's the list size? And you can have like a lot of segments. I know for me, I've got a ton of segments. I've got a segment that is people that are interested in crypto. I've got a segment of people that are interested in SEO. I've got a segment of people that are interested in AI. I have a segment of people that are interested in acquisitionaire and AI lead generation. I've got all these different segments. And what it does for the business is it allows you to target market and be very effective. Here's what will happen if you have one segment. If you have one segment, like you have one list and everyone's on the same list and you don't have any way to segment them out, what's going to happen is you're going to have people that have all kinds of different interests and you're going to send the same email to all of them and you're going to piss them off. If you're sending them stuff they're not interested in, and the worst thing they can do, the way they tell you they're unhappy is they're going to unsubscribe. Now you just lost a part of your list. And this is why you don't see a lot of emails from me promoting joint ventures and other people. The only reason I'll promote someone else is if they've got something that I know a particular segment of my audience will like and benefit from and appreciate. Those I'll send out because I don't get a lot of unsubscribes on that. But anytime I send out like just blanket mass emails, I get a lot of unsubscribes, and that hurts. That's pain in your business because the bigger the list, the more you make from it. Like specifically in Kartra, Kartra will actually tell you like how profitable each person is in your list. It's called an EPC. Like when you run an ad campaign or a marketing campaign in Kartra, you'll get what's called an EPC. That's earnings per click. So that tells you how much a click is worth. Those clicks come from your list when you communicate to it. So you can do calculations and say, oh, each person is worth X amount. Kartra will also give you a lifetime value. This is a really important number for you to figure out. As you're tracking overall, you're tracking your whole business, all of your customers that are in your list. Some of them are prospects and some of them are actually paying you. So Kartra, one of the cool things about it, I'm sure Go High Level does this too, but I'm familiar with Kartra, so I talk about what I'm familiar with. In Kartra, when you pull up each client record, this is a person on your list, uh, it will have what's their total value there, and it projects their lifetime value. So based on that, you know how much you can afford to acquire a customer. That's a really key metric in growing your business because you're going to you're going to spend money, and I should probably save this till later because we're going to get there. So let me just like kind of reel it back in and go back to where we started. The list segment. You guys should really focus on that. If you only have one segment, it's the whole list, you're not doing this right. You need to separate people out, separate the lists out. You either do that with separate lists or tags. It's okay to drop everybody in the same list, but make sure you have tags on them and you're segmenting them. Okay, so how many lead magnets? This is the next thing. How many lead magnets do you have for each segment? You should do this segment by segment. If you've got 10, list the 10 and list the size of each one next to it. And then go back and answer these questions per segment. So let's take the first segment. How many lead magnets do you have for that segment? And a lead magnet is something that you give away for value to entice them to join the list. This is getting them to opt in. If you're not doing this, you're not growing your list. And your revenue next year is going to look the same as it did this year. If you're not growing, you're stagnant and you're probably sliding backwards. So this is really important. These lead magnet things. We talk a lot about this in the calls. We've got, even a tool inside Quantum to help you brainstorm lead magnet ideas. There's tons of them. So I won't get into that now because that could be a whole day segment. But next, how many times did you email this segment? Like if you have an active segment, how many times over the year did you send them an email? If you're not sending them an email like probably at least once a month, you're letting the list go cold. That way, when you do email the list, they're going to ignore it. They're going to not recognize you. They're not going to interact, and they'll probably unsubscribe. So that's a mistake to not communicate with your list. Now, I'm not saying you have to try and sell them something 12 times a year. You have to reach out and give them value. Your job is to become part of their daily life. You want them to depend on you. It's your job to find out what they need and bring it to them. And in many cases, you're bringing them just value. And every once in a while, when it's appropriate, you slide an offer in on them. And guess what? If you're giving them value and they're trusting it and they're following, they're probably going to buy from you at some point. So emailing the list on a regular basis that's a key part of this. Now, how many times did you run an ad or promote that lead magnet? I don't really run ads for my own stuff. The way I promote my lead magnets is usually through what do they call it? It's a webinar partner. Like I will reach out to somebody that has the audience that I want to penetrate, and I will cut a deal with them. Usually people with lists, there's a lot of guys in this space that they build a list for one purpose. A lot of them don't even have their own product. They're building a list for affiliate marketing. That's how they make their living. So they build the list and they know their job is to provide value to that list. So when they make them offers, they take them and they make money that way. That's how they earn their keep. So if I can reach out to that person that has that list and offer them something of high value that doesn't compete with them, and like I said, a lot of times they don't even have their own products, so you're very rarely competing with them. But you make an offer to provide value in the form of a webinar that's something that their audience would appreciate and get a lot of value from. And in the process, in the offer, they're going to get paid. Every person that makes a purchase, they get a revenue share of. That's affiliate marketing. So you're basically reaching out to affiliates and cutting deals. So some of their hot buttons is providing value because that's something that they struggle with. They have to constantly come up with good stuff to provide that list or they lose the list and they know it. So providing that value, that's number one. That's the apple of their eye. If you can provide good value to their viewers. The next thing is money. And this probably realistically, this is more important than you providing value to the list. And they know if they're going to make money on it, it's coming from value. So they're tied by the hip. But that's how I do it. I do it that way. I've done it that way since the very beginning, and it's always worked really well for me. Because as Gina knows, I hate systems. I hate nitty gritty. I see her putting all those color sheets out, and it just makes me want to throw up. Like, my God, that's too much detail. Just give me the money. But a lot of people are like that. A lot of people have to have, everything systematized and it does work. I mean, I would probably make a lot more if I followed her rule and did it her way, but I'm just far too lazy for that. But anyway, how many times did you promote your lead magnet? If you say none, And that's a clear indicator of why your number is what your number is. The next is, have you done any SEO for the lead magnet? It doesn't mean, and I don't want you guys to think you have to do all this stuff. This is all stuff that you can do. You don't have to do any of it. If you don't do any of it, though, I guarantee you your number is going to look the same or more dismal than it does now next year. That I can guarantee you. Every one of these is something that will raise the bar. Doesn't mean you have to do them. Like some people look at SEO and want to throw up. They want no part of it. And it's not fun. I don't blame you. All right, next one. Do you have affiliate swipe files for this lead magnet? I am flat out guilty as sin on this one. I'll admit it right up front. I struggle with this one, and it's not that difficult to do. I don't know what my problem is. But what a swipe file is this is where you're creating the emails that your affiliates will send out to their audience. And this is another thing that will make you appealing to promote you, is if you make it easy for them. You say, hey, I've got this great lead magnet to give away. It leads into a webinar. We'll all get on and promote the webinar. And I've written all emails for you. All you have to do is copy, paste them. It's got your affiliate link right in it, and just send it to your list. They're like, oh, great. That's a dream come true. Send it over. Those are called swipe files. Next is, how many affiliates have you asked to promote your lead magnet? Now, I can assure you that not everyone you ask is going to say yes. This is a numbers game. This is like dating. Think about that. If you ask one person out on a date and they say no, and you're just going to stop your life. That's it. You keep asking until you get a yes. It's just like sales. You don't stop at a no. You keep going. If you don't put food on the table. This is very much the same thing. When you guys are in a business and it's your business, everything falls back on you. You are the king of this castle, even if it's the size of a broom closet. You are the king of that castle. And everything, success or failure, guaranteed, comes back to you. So if you haven't asked any, that's a problem. You need to have all this stuff in place for them. So how you guys doing? Is this painful? Are you answering no to all this stuff? I hope you don't next year. All right.
Can you scroll up real quick so I can glance at the top of your page? Okay, that's all it was. Okay.
That's it. We're not very deep in. I probably need to pick up the pace.
Hey, John, from my perspective, I mean, I'm just getting started with all of this, right? So this is a great checklist for me to, as I'm starting to build. This is fantastic for me at any rate. So thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, this is good for anybody. This is good for somebody that's never done anything at all, because like you said, it's a perfect checklist. It's also good for, anybody that's even been in business like myself for, 30 or 40 years. It's a good reminder. So anyway, the next thing is, does your lead magnet have a sales funnel sequence to it? And I was guilty of this one for a long time. And now that I have Kartra set up and I've got these sequences, I'm actually, by hook or crook, I am following Gina's process on the sequences in Kartra. And I got to tell you, every day, this year for me is very different. Like I've told some people, like for the last, I don't know how many years, I've really been coasting. I typically, throughout my life, I run business and money-making operations to the point of getting whatever I want. When I have whatever I want, I'm good. I don't need to I'm not looking to build an empire so far. That's coming. But up to this point, I've always known whatever I wanted, and I'm like, okay, I know how to get that. I have to do this, and then I do that, and I have it. It's always been very simple. But this is something that I've in the past, the webinar promos with the affiliate partners, if I wanted to make a quick $50,000 to $100,000, that was where I would turn. It's like the Beatles. I don't know if you guys heard this story or not, but the Beatles were at one point in their career, they were broke, and they were all sitting in this place where they were living, and it was hot, and they thought they wanted a pool. They didn't have any money for the pool. So one of them, I don't remember which one was, I don't know if it was Ringo or whatever, but he said, here's how we're going to get a pool. We're going to write a song. And they wrote a song, and they got their pool. That's what they did. They made music. So they knew if they wanted something that they didn't have, they were going to have to do something they hadn't done. And that's what business is all about. If you want the same thing you've got, just keep doing the same thing you're doing. You're good. But if you want something more, you're going to have to do something more for it. So the sequences are awesome. And every day, like I didn't have this in previous years. Previous years, I would just sit back and, I'd do stuff when I needed money, and that was fine. But this year, it's like every day I open up my email and I see all of these opt-ins coming in without my interaction. Now that it's set up, I don't have to do anything. People are opting in, they're downloading my free lead magnets, they're getting invited to evergreen webinars, they're going through the webinars, they're getting educated, and they're buying stuff. It's pretty awesome to see it happen. So that's what tying a sales funnel sequence, to your lead magnets will do. And then, here's one. How many times have you promoted to other people's podcasts? Again, a podcast is somebody that has an audience. I'm very leery of wasting time. So like I won't just go on any podcasts. I have to know that when I'm spending my time, I'm doing it strategically. Like it seems like everybody and their cat these days has a podcast. And most of them have no audience. They have no viewers. And in some cases, they're doing it for building credibility, just like writing a book, and that's great. That's perfectly fine to do that. But for me to go on there, I need to know that, hey, I'm going to get my message to the right people, because that's what ACT is all about. It's finding the segment, creating the messaging, and then the traffic is delivering it to those eyeballs. So that's a really important piece. So don't just, go do podcasts for the sake of doing them. Do all of this strategically.
Because you'd rather be fishing than being on a podcast.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, I would. And then here, is it offered on your website? I am notoriously guilty of this one. Like I've got several things still that I don't have on my website. Like until this Black Friday, I kind of kicked things up a notch. I actually made a Black Friday page with all of my offers and specials for each one of them. And yeah, I'm not going to say I made landslide sales this year, but I made a hell of a lot of more sales than I did last year because I didn't do that. A lot of stuff that was hidden. The best way to prevent people from buying your stuff is to hide it from them. That's the best way to do it. If you don't want them to buy it, just hide it. It works really good. I've tested it. I can vouch for it. All right, so this whole section was kind of all about just your segment, your lead magnets, and generating leads. Now the next one is your products. How many new products did you add this year? And if you've got one product and it's consistent, it's a revenue generator, and you say, I didn't add any, that might not be a problem. But like if you look at how many products I added on in the last year, it was Acquisition Air was kind of the leader starting the race. And it was a little over a year. We did that Black Friday last year. So I'm a little over a year there, but I'm going to count that one. And that started it. And then I added the Becky bot, Build a Becky. And then I added Quantum. And then I recently added Apex. So I mean, I'm rolling these things out at a pretty quick pace. And beside that, I'd started doing the Mastermind at Sea thing. We did several of those this year. So those are all products. Anything you've got to sell is a product. Like people are into experiences. Like Brian, your background as a fighter pilot, there's that is a huge group of fanfare. People love air shows. You could probably put together something where you took a group of people behind the scenes, took them onto an air base, and just gave them a private tour and gave them some history, and they would eat that shit up. And they'd pay you a lot of money for that experience. That would be like for you, you wouldn't even have to think about that. All you have to do is just find the target, create the lead magnet, build the lists, and make them the offer. Done deal. That would be super simple for you to add that. So now
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's like me. I'm really creative of finding where money just comes out of trees. That's probably something you never thought of.
It's actually that's not. So yeah, like I said, thanks for that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we all have experiences that others would want to participate in. And you can be the liaison, and they will pay you a lot of money for the more cool the experience is, the more they'll pay for it. I know it's probably not feasible to take them up in a fighter jet, but you might be able to take them on a tour, show them all the fighter jets. And I know in Orange County, they've got a classic warbird museum. And for a certain price, you can put somebody on a B-17, which is a famous, bomber from World War II.
Yeah.
So they get this whole experience, and they get to actually fly on a historic relic.
John, if you want to, if you want to take some of that money, some of that XRP money and buy a fighter jet, I'll fly it, and we can make a whole bunch of money providing those experiences. We can partner up about it. So yeah, just noodle on that for a minute.
But there's just like any of us, we all have something that other people would want. And you just need to look at the world that way. It's just a new set of goggles that you already have. You just probably haven't looked through them. There's opportunity at every turn. So how many front end offers for each product that you come out with? How many front end offers did you create for it? Like if you look at my ACT program, there's a lot of front end offers. I've got one that's called the Elvis Shift, and it's showing people how Elvis went from rags to riches, how he became the king of rock and roll. And I tie it exactly to the ACT program. He did it following the ACT program. And I show exactly how he did it, how it correlates. And, it's a proof point. It's a proof point to ACT works. It worked for Elvis. It'll work for you. And, and I go back and I show how he was really a nobody, and odds were stacked against him. And, it was kind of a mistake. He found out that, he was so nervous the first time he went on stage in front of a bunch of young girls, his knee twitched uncontrollably. And what he recognized was every time it twitched, the girls went crazy. So what he did was he recognized in real time as he was on that stage that this is what this audience wants. Why don't I give it to him? So he started exaggerating the twists of his knee and then the shakes and all funky shit he used to do on stage. And all he did was he identified the market, figured out what they wanted, and he created the experience for them. And he went from a nobody to the king of rock and roll from just delivering what the audience wanted. And
So John, when you talk about front end offers and you use this Elvis example, is that actually something you sell and that goes into your ACT program?
it's a front end webinar offer.
Oh,
So it's like I give them the lead magnet. The lead magnet is, hey, learn how Elvis became the king of rock and roll, and you can do that in your own business. And then I lead them into a webinar and walk them through the process and attribute every step back to the ACT program. And then I offer it up, but it's offered as the Elvis shift. I mean, it's the ACT program, but the Elvis shift is the front end offer to it.
You're using Elvis as a story.
Yeah,
You're basically telling the Elvis story within the context of ACT.
exactly.
Brilliant, brilliant.
And then, I do it in other ways. I've got probably 4 or 5 different things. Like I've got one is called the predictable, what is it? The predictable client getting system. And I show how this is a system that is foolproof. It's been used for over 100 years in ad agencies. It's just another front end offer to a lead magnet to sell the same thing on the back end. In some cases, you'll create an offer on the front end that attaches to a segment. Because when you look at the ACT program in general, it could apply to any business owner. Now, we know they're not all equal. Business owners are not all the same. Like I did a specific one to the balloon industry. Like people that tie balloons and sell them, as kids' parties and all that kind of stuff. That was a very different segment. And the only reason I did it was I had a person approach me, and she was like a influencer in that space. She had a big audience of balloon people that followed her. She taught them how to run their business for balloons. And she wanted me to present ACT to the balloon people. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I never even thought of balloon people, but I created a webinar for the balloon people and I made it all about them. I didn't talk about manufacturing businesses and, digital marketing businesses. I talked about balloons, how to identify the market, segment it, find the most profitable market segment, and create messaging that appealed to that segment. And, they all jumped on board. Worked really well. If I would have given them the Elvis shift, it wouldn't have worked near as well. Maybe not at all. But since I was speaking their language, and again, that's what ACT is all about. Speaking that person's language. That's why you figure out the avatar. You figure out their slang, anything that appeals to them. And then you chameleon into that. And then back end offers. Do you guys know the difference between a front end and a back end offer? A front end offer is something that you sell them for the first sale. A back end offer is anything that you sell them after the fact. Like if you look at Craig, I know a lot of you are familiar with Craig. Craig's front end offer is come to my 3-day event, for $97. That's his front end offer. His back end offer is a sales pitch to the mastermind. That's a secondary sale. That's a back end offer. And then after that, he's got, just a stream of things on the back end that he can sell you. And I'm actually one of them. I'm part of his back end offers. He will introduce people to me for different things that I offer, and he makes money off that from an affiliate relationship with me. So you can have an unlimited number of back end offers. And I know a lot of you are new to me and new to the system. And there's a story that I tell about one of my earliest clients in marketing. and she sold maternity dresses. And I was looking at the model and I almost told her, I'm like, yeah, you can't do this. This is not going to win. And then it occurred to me, I'm like, shit, the maternity dress is just the lead magnet. We don't have to make money on it. And when I told her that, she about came unbuttoned. She thought that was not sound business advice. She's like, I have kids I need to feed. I can't give my stuff away for free. And I said, no, you can. Let me show you how you're going to do this. I said, you're going to have a sales funnel on the back end of this. You don't have to make money on the front end. Like Craig does not make money on the front end selling a $97 seat because he's got to pay for the room. If he covers his cost on the room with the front end offer, he's doing really good. He typically goes in the hole on the front end, knowing the back end's going to make up for it. So with the maternity dress, I said, look, you are going to give away your dress as a lead magnet, sell it for cost. I don't care, whatever you sell it for. The money's in the back end. The money's in the list you're going to create. She didn't understand what I was talking about, but I laid it out for her. I said, if you give the dress away and you don't make any money today, you're going to make an income for the next 18 years for every one of those dresses you give away. I said, because what you're going to do is you're going to become what the mother needs next before she knows it. You're going to be her research partner. You're going to figure out everything that's going to happen to her on her way through this experience, and you're going to be her guiding light. Think about how many products are going to be sold to that mother over the next 18 years. You just find those people, create affiliate relationships, and trickle that information out just a day or a week before she needs it. That way she doesn't have to worry. She can relax and just let life go on because she knows you're going to bring her what she needs before she needs it. And when you create that trust bond, she's not even going to question it. She's not going to research it. She's not going to price shop it. She's just going to buy what you tell her she needs next. And I have this in my business. When I come out with something and I send it to the right segment of the audience and I tell them, hey, this would be good for you because of this, they don't question it. They don't go shop it around. They don't go look for it from another vendor. They just buy it because of the trust factor. So she actually took my advice very, very reluctantly. By the way, I got to tell you, it was dragging her kicking and screaming until she got it up and running. But, after that, that's all she could think about doing was giving those dresses away. Because
John, John, I just this is kind of mind blowing because I just did this without even knowing it in my defense consulting projects that I'm working on. I'm working with an Australian company, and I ran into some funding opportunities that I thought would help them. I just sent them an email on it, and they're like, "Oh, this is amazing. We're going to work on this with this proposal. What would you charge for a cursory review of our proposal?" And I said, "I'll do a cursory review for free." So now I'm just building that trust with these guys. I sent them the opportunity to begin with. I'm going to it'll take me an hour to do a cursory review of that. And now, hey, what's your retainer? Oh, now let's have a conversation.
yeah, you don't have to make a lot of money on the front end of things. The front end is, Ryan Dice calls it a tripwire. He will take a product that, even if it's like $97, it could be a $97 product. He will sliver off a little piece of it and sell it for $7 because $7 is a no-brainer. 97, it's not a lot for a lot of people, but you still got to think about it. But $7 you don't have to think about. So he sells them the tripwire offer, the $7 thing. And what that does, it doesn't matter the dollar amount. Your first sale, there's a key thing about the first sale to any person. It changes the relationship. You go from an acquaintance to a family member. It changes that relationship. That dynamic is forever different. When they become a customer and they've actually trusted you enough to open their wallet and give you their credit card number, that's huge. Selling to somebody that's already given you their credit card is 100-fold easier to do it again. And in a lot of cases, you can do it within seconds. Like they put the $7 thing in their cart, and then you say, hey, the $97 thing, hey, if you want to buy it right now and just cut to the chase, we'll cut it to $77. And boom, you just made a back end sale. So you can do that over and over and over. Now, I don't encourage anybody to like take that to the max. You'll see this with internet marketers. They'll sell you the $7 thing, and then it's a $29 thing, and then it's a $77 thing, and then it's a $197 thing. By the time you get done, you're in it for $800. And they completely lie on the front end. They say you get everything you're ever going to need for the first $7. And then it's like, oh, well, for another 27, you can have unlimited. Well, if it wasn't unlimited, how could it be everything I needed? And then they give you the next thing and the next thing. And it's all the shit that you want. It's all, they've already figured out your psyche and, what your buying triggers are and all that. In a lot of cases, they're tapping into greed, fear of missing out, all the triggers. So the back end offers are huge. Now, next, you can do this with multiple products. You can name the product, put the price, and the units sold. And then this is kind of like, the front end lead magnets. For each product, how many big ideas have you developed for this product? And a big idea is an attention grabbing statement to lead people in. As you know, with ACT, there's 4 pieces to any marketing segment or any marketing sequence. You've got grab attention on the front. If you fail there, the game's over. It's like if any of you are old school and you played pinball, that's like tilting. The game is over, right? So you need to grab attention. That comes from a big idea. How many big ideas? Because the same thing isn't going to grab everyone's attention. Like my Elvis shift, that's a big idea. That's on the front end to grab attention and suck someone in. The predictable client getting system, that's a big idea. That grabs other people's attention and sucks them in, all for the same purpose of selling the same item. So how many big ideas? And this is something that you should really exercise. This is like going to the gym. You need to develop these muscles of looking at how many different ways and angles you can sell the same thing. Because the more you have, I guarantee you, the more you're going to sell. That's what this whole exercise is all about. Any of these areas that you can improve upon, you will increase your sales, guaranteed. Have you identified the most common objections? Most people haven't done this. They've got their product, they think it's great. They don't think about why someone would not buy it. And I guarantee, if you haven't built the overcoming of these objections into your sales presentations, you're not going to make any sales. Remember, I say, if you get the first 3 things, you grab attention, you create demand and desire, you eliminate objections, and you make an offer. If there are the only thing, if you've done the first section and you get to the offer, the only thing standing in the way of a sale is going to be an objection. If you've grabbed their attention and created demand and desire, the only thing that stops them from purchasing is an objection. So you need to identify all of the common objections and eliminate them before you make your offer. So this is a big one. Have you identified why someone needs this? Why did they want what you have? And here's, I come to this all the time. There's features and there's benefits. The features is what the thing is. And that's what everybody focuses on, and nobody cares. Guaranteed, your prospects don't care what it is. All they care is what it does. That's what's important to them. What does it do? So, and that's, that's the next one down. Have you identified the biggest benefits? And remember, benefit is what it does, not what it is. And then have you taken those benefits and three-dimensionalized them? That's the exercise. There's a whole exercise in ACT on three-dimensionalizing benefits so they can hear it, see it, and feel it. This is like why when you go to a car lot and you're going to buy a car, they won't talk about price until they put you behind the wheel. They want you to feel it. It's part of internalizing you with the outcome of this thing, which is what's going to lead to the sale. And you can do that. You can three-dimensionalize benefits in the digital world. This is a really cool thing because, for many, many years, nobody knew how to effectively do this. They knew in the real world, yeah, you let them feel it, you let them drive it, you let them, do whatever they need to do to experience the outcome before they make the purchase. Well, how do you do that online? You three-dimensionalize the benefits so they can hear it, see it, and feel it. And that's a whole exercise in itself, but that's really cool. And the next one, do you have an irresistible offer in place? Again, there's a whole lesson in ACT about creating an irresistible offer. There's a lot of pieces to an irresistible offer. There's discounting, there's rationalizing the discounts, there's limits, there's scarcity. There's all the stuff to create an irresistible offer. Not even to mention value. All that gets wrapped in the, guarantees. Guarantees are important. That is risk reversal. If they've got, one of their final last objections might be, well, what if it doesn't work for me? Obviously it works, but in their head, an objection, might be a hidden objection. What if it doesn't work for me? Right? We've all thought that before. What if it doesn't work for me? The only way to eliminate that is, well, try it. If you don't like it, you don't pay for it. Risk reversal. All right. And then how many times have you emailed this product to your list? A good thing is to email the product to the list based on a big idea. And then the ones that purchased, now they get a tag that says they purchased, so you don't email them again to try and sell it to them. But the ones that didn't purchase, you send them a different big idea. And you just keep doing that until, you basically run out of ideas to try and sell your stuff, or they've all purchased. All right. How many webinars have you done for this product? Webinars are a really good way to sell it, because a webinar, you cloak the webinar in, they're going to come learn how to do something that they really want, that's going to give them an outcome that they desire. And this, in the ACT program, this goes to the timeline. The timeline consists of where they are is where they are on the timeline, and the future consists of where they want to be. What is their desired outcome? So if you can cloak a webinar in the in the cloak of, you're going to come to this thing and I'm going to show you how to get what you want, you're going to learn exactly how to get that, how to avoid any pitfalls. That's a great way to put a webinar together. Webinars sell really, really well. And then, do you have affiliate systems in place? Like, do you have an affiliate system for your product so you can offer those to affiliates to sell and make a commission and be able to track it all automated? I love Kartra for this. It makes it so easy. And then, how many affiliates do you have for this product? Do you email swipe files to your affiliates to send to their list? Do you offer payment plans? If you've got high ticket items, this is a big stumbling block if you don't have payment plans for them. It's a pain in the ass, but people will buy on a payment plan that wouldn't buy it otherwise. And, it's like, do I care if they give me the money today or over the next 6 months? The answer is I do not. As long as they pay, I do not. So that's something to consider. Like if you got a $97 thing, you don't need a payment plan for that. But if you got something that's $1,000, probably a good idea at least to offer a 2-pay. If you guys haven't seen this, I did a really, really diabolical offer. It's part of my irresistible offer for ACT. I priced the program at $19.97. So it's a $2,000 program for the ACT program. I never intended to sell it at that price, but I did originally. I sold it originally at $2,000 so I could say that this product sells for $2,000. You have to be integrous with what you're claiming. You can't make false claims. You will get a shitstorm come down on you from the FTC if you do that. You've got to be able to prove whatever you're claiming. So do not make false claims unless you can back it up. So anyway, sold it for $2,000 so I can say this product sells for $2,000. That is the price. Now, because you're on the webinar, I'm going to allow you to split the payments in two. Today, you make the first payment of $497. There is a second payment of $1,500 that's due after you've made $100,000 using the product. So we're pushing it off until you've made. So what am I implying there? I'm implying if you buy this for $497, you're going to make $100,000, right? I'm making a hidden implication that's guaranteeing them $100,000 without guaranteeing them that. So like I said, it's a very diabolical offer. And then I know that if I do that, I'm going to create an objection that is going to actually handicap them. Because if the program starts working for somebody, they will stop working the program when they make $99,000 because they don't want to make the $1,500 payment. As ridiculous as that sounds, that's a real thing. So I don't want to sabotage them. I want to incentivize them. So what I say is, if you order it today while we're here live in the room, I'm going to allow you to eliminate the second payment and trade it in for a video testimonial. So you hit $100,000, I get a video testimonial, we wash the second payment, it's free. So you basically got the program for $497, you made $100,000 and you gave me a video testimonial. I'm painting the picture that they want to see themselves in. So instead of penalizing them with a second payment, I'm celebrating. I'm promoting them. And I tell them, I'm going to put it on my website. I'm going to, I'll interview you, all the stuff. They're going to get notoriety out of it. So that offer works really, really well. So that kind of wraps, a lot of the stuff up in one little recap. All right, so here's a big one. Does this product have recurring income attached to the offer? If you notice, there's almost nothing that I have available that does not attach to recurring income. Like all my programs, all of them dump into ongoing support for as long as you want it, which is this call for $29 a month. Access to me every week for $29 a month. Most people, the only way you can get access to this call is if you've purchased one of my programs. I know some of you have got in because you're in other groups and all that, but most people have had to pay at least $497 on the front end to get access to one of my programs, to get access to this on an ongoing basis. But nonetheless, everything I offer has that back end recurring income. And some people look at it as like, oh, $30 a month, that's not worth my time. But when you have 1,000 people paying you $30 a month and your only commitment is, a 2-hour a week call for $30,000 a month, is it not worth your time now? When I look at my systems, I look at my billing systems, and it's easy for me to look back and like see how much each product has made over time. This call right here that you're on at $30 has put several $1 million in my account since I started it in like 2010. You know, is it worth it for me to spend a couple hours a week for several $1 million? Yeah, it's worth it to me. I don't know, it might not be worth it to Gina. She's making too much for dealing with a $30 call. But anyway, so let's see, where are we going now? Does this have recurring income? Okay, how many upsells do you have for the product? I'm weak on upsells. I'm not really a big upseller. I hate that. I hate, when I get into these funnels and they keep upselling and upselling and upselling. So that's one I don't really do a lot of that. I don't plan on doing a lot of it. And downsells the same thing. It's like, okay, if you don't want that product, can I sell you the same thing cheaper? I just think that's a little greasy. A lot of people do it though. There's money in it. And like I said, all this stuff, you don't have to do all of the stuff. You don't have to do any of it. But anything that you add here, I'm putting things that could potentially move the needle in your business. Next, we get to the offers. How many new promotions or offers, funnels did you put in place in 2024? How many incoming partner promotions? Like how many webinars did you actually do with affiliate partners? How many outgoing partner promotions did you do? And an outgoing partner promotion is when you promote someone else's product. I would really caution you on this. Only promote stuff that you know works and is with integrous people and is going to benefit your audience or your segment. Don't push them stuff that won't help them. That does not work for your best favor. That's going to bite you in the ass. I don't promote anything just to make a quick buck. And how many content pieces were released? A content piece could be like a press release. A lot of you have learned about press releases over the last couple of weeks. That's a content piece. Another content piece might be like a blog post. It might be an article you submit to an article directory. It might be a lot of people are on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has an article directory that you can post articles in LinkedIn. Wherever your prospects are, you should be putting content in front of them. Maybe your audience is on Facebook. You should be posting content on there. You can put like half of the story, leave it at a cliffhanger, and then they have to click to go to your website and download it. Use the social media platforms, but don't just post on Facebook because you have a Facebook account. Figure out, is your audience on Facebook? If they're not, don't waste your time. Only put your stuff where your audience lives, where they hang out. All right. How many emails were sent? We kind of hit this one earlier, but it's important really to keep that in mind. And then what was your average open rate? When you send an email, you should have stats on it where you can see the open rate, how many people actually opened the email. If they didn't open the email, it was a complete waste of your time to send it. And the only way that you can increase your open rate, if your open rate is low, that's a failure. And it was a failure at the point of the subject matter. The subject is what makes someone want to open your email. If your subject is dull, boring, and they've seen it a million times, no reason for them to open it. They just throw it in the trash. So if you want to increase that, you work on your subject lines, work on big ideas, attention grabbers, stuff that's going to shake them at their core. Like they need to open this. They need to see this. Your job there is to make them rubberneck. And sometimes it's with outrageous stuff. Sometimes it's very controversial stuff. You know, if you don't get them to open it, you're not doing yourself any favors. And then how many traffic channels were used? Rate each traffic source in effectiveness. Now, a traffic channel could be like Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, uh, Google Ads, anywhere where you're generating traffic. I don't care if it's free or if it's paid. That is a traffic channel. How many did you have? And a lot of people said, well, I didn't have any. Like, okay, well, that's an indicator. You didn't have traffic. Doesn't matter if you created all these offers and did all this other stuff. If you didn't bring it in front of anybody, that's where your bottleneck is. This is, again, this is meant to be painful because you're probably going, shit. No, I didn't do that. No, God damn it. I no wonder I'm not making any money. That's part of the pain. But it's also to be an awakening. And again, you don't have to do all this stuff, but pick what you can do. Pick what is easy for you, easiest fruit off the tree, and pluck that first. Something that moves the needle. It should all attach to you selling something. That's the most important piece for you, is to get in place your offer and your mechanism to take the payment. If you can do that, everything else will fall in line. If you don't have that, it doesn't matter how good the stuff you're working on is, you're not ready to take money yet. You should be ready to take money at the drop of a hat. Before anything, you should have your product made and a link to purchase it. You guys saw me do this at Craig's event with the Apex program. I didn't have anything ready. The program itself wasn't even complete. And sitting there, I'm like, shit, I have an opportunity to sell this right here and now if I get a link. So I got online, I opened my laptop, I finished the product. So now I have a link to sell it. I put it into my affiliate program and I created a link for Craig, an affiliate link for him. And I said, Craig, I got a new product for you to promote. Here's the link. All I did was I just talked briefly about what the thing was, and a lot of people purchased it because they trusted me. They knew it was going to be good. But I didn't have anything else. If I said, well, I need a sales page, well, I would have made nothing. I would have made 0 sales if I put a bunch of shit in my way. But no, all I needed was a way to take the money and somebody to promote it. I put those two together and boom, made money right there in the room in front of all of you. I didn't see anyone else in the room do that. Guaranteed, if you can put money in Craig's pocket, he'll promote you. If you've got something his audience can use and you've got a way for him to make money off of it, like you see him talk about Tim all the time with
I was
this.
gonna say, I'll back that one up.
Yeah, he will do it. Guaranteed. If you got to make it easy for him, though, don't make him go hunt for your affiliate links. Spoon feed him. I literally spoon fed him. I emailed him. Here's your link. QR
Well,
code.
also he requires the emails to be written for him. So he's like,
Yeah.
give me my affiliate link and give me the emails and then I'll send it. And he won't do it unless it's that easy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you don't see him emailing stuff out for me, because I don't do that for him because I'm too lazy. You've never seen him promote me in an email because I've never wrote an email for him to promote. But in his rooms all day long, I'll give him
That's yeah, there's the backup right there, John, in his rooms. And that's what the skill that you just told that you can do. You learn that, again, learning your audience. You know that if I can do that in front of Craig, I can make money.
Yeah.
And that's where you guys got to learn. Everybody's not Craig, but when you go to a different audience, you got to, this is where he's saying he knew exactly what to do for Craig to cash in on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did it right there, literally in minutes. I think Brian watched me. He was sitting right next to me when I did it. I'm like, Oh, bright idea. There, I can make some money right here and now. And I did, and it worked. You guys got to watch it. Get to watch the beast roll around in the dirt. All right, a SWOT analysis. Some of you have heard of this, some maybe not, but SWOT is strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. And you should always look at your business for these four things. Like, what is your strength? You need to leverage your strengths. What are your weaknesses? You need to figure out how to either eliminate them or avoid them. Like, I know all my weaknesses and I avoid them. I'm not going to go do something I'm not good at. I'm going to avoid that. I'm going to leverage my strengths and I'm going to move forward at lightning speed. I move pretty quick for a big guy. I move quick digitally. And then opportunities. Like, what opportunities? Like, I just threw one out for Brian, put together a group of people that want an experience that has to do with aviation. There's a gazillion of them. Where do they hang out? Where would you get in front of them? Where would you advertise? Air shows. They all come out of the woodwork and they're all in one convenient place at your fingertips. And then threats. What's a possible threat? Competition, irrelevance. If what you're doing is technology based and there's new technology coming and you're not going to move into it, that's a threat. You're going to become obsolete. I've had many threats throughout my careers, throughout my life. Like, before I was into the internet marketing space, I was a high-end commercial photographer. I did special effects. Great living. I made a lot of money doing that. It was a fantastic way to make a living. But then Photoshop came out. And I'm like, oh shit, that's going to be the end of this party. And it was. Within 2 years, what I did didn't even exist anymore. That kind of forced me into the internet marketing space. So it was a threat, which I in turn turned into an opportunity that worked out, really, really well for me. And then here's the big question. What are you going to change? This should actually be 2025. What are you going to change in 2025? Because I can assure you of this, if nothing changes on this list, nothing's going to change in your business. It's all going to be the same. If you want a guarantee from me, there it is. So, questions? You guys have, any questions about this? I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm totally open to help anybody at any phase of where you're at, or how this could, even brainstorming the ideas, or if you don't know how to three-dimensionalize benefits, anything.
John, correct me if I'm wrong, but all the tools to do any and all of this are in Quantum, are they not?
Not necessarily all of them,
Okay.
but like if you combine the the ACT program is going to give you all the knowledge that you need to really, really
Yeah.
do this at a deep level. Quantum, I created a whole bunch of tools to make the ACT program really easy.
Yeah.
There's a couple that I haven't quite got to yet in Quantum. One would be to write a complete sales webinar. But what I've found is you can use Perplexity to do that pretty effectively by using Quantum to get all of your stuff. Like, you do your buyer profile and you feed that into Perplexity and you say, here's my ideal customer. And I need to create a webinar to sell this product, and you go and you put in all of your benefits and all the stuff that Quantum will spit out for you. And then you say, I need you to outline the perfect webinar sequence for this from beginning to end. And just tell it to outline it, not do it, because it won't do it effectively in that big of a chunk. But it'll give you the outline. And then once it's given you the outline and you feel it's good and it's correct, then you can go back and say, okay, let's start with the first piece. Give me the script for the first section of that webinar. And then, okay, that's great. Get that dialed in and then move to the next one. Okay, we need to work on the second piece now. And it will give you the whole thing in very great detail. And that's the way to get it out of there. You can't just tell it, give me a webinar, because it won't do it. It'll give you a half-ass scenario of a webinar if you do it that way. So I've got a lot of prompting and stuff to do to get Quantum to do that. The only way I've got right now to do it is just exactly what I told you, which is pretty simple.
It is simple. Yeah.
You can lean on Quantum to get all the details you need to feed into Perplexity to really give it all the tools it needs to do a spectacular job for you.
Yeah. And all those tools are in Apex. Right. You've got links to
Apex.
Perplexity and ChatGPT and all that in Apex, right?
Yeah.
Have you released a link to that? I may have missed an email, but I don't recall. Maybe I do. I just got to go back and look.
Oh,
I don't think I've accessed Apex yet personally.
let me see here. Let me see if I'm consistent in my methods.
You need to talk to Gina some more about that.
Oh yeah, no kidding. I do have a page for it. Let me find the page. I'll put it in the chat for you. Yeah, Apex. I did go out back after Craig's event and I created the sales page for it. And it's still not fantastic, but it's good enough. What you'll find is good enough is exactly that. It's good enough. It's good enough to sell stuff. You can always go back and improve upon it. Okay, let me make sure this works. I'll paste this in. I don't know why I'm so clumsy today on the copy paste, but okay, that is the right page. So now I will put that in the chat for you. And then this is basically the page. This is another thing that I do a lot is notice here it's beta pricing and they can lock it in for life. So the normal price of Apex is $97 a month. But what I do this for multiple reasons. For one, I always put a retail price that's more than I expect to sell it or more than I want to sell something for, like ACT. $2,000. I really intended to sell it for $497. So I wrap a whole scenario around why you're going to get it for $497. Here, I want 47 because I like a lower price point. I don't like somebody seeing a $100 charge every month and then they're like, oh yeah, I'm not using that. Let me cut that out. When it's 47 or 30 bucks or whatever, it's a lot easier to take that, even if you're not doing something with it, knowing you're going to, you'll keep hanging on for it. And this is something you'll find. Your pricing is very important. You can gouge people a lot up front, but I would rather keep people on forever. So the other thing that beta pricing does is it implies there's going to be bugs that we're working out. And it's going to, instead of somebody buying a product and expecting it to be just spectacular and pissing and moaning about every little thing that they find wrong with it, here I can spin it back on and say, well, you're getting beta pricing. You're in a beta group. This is what it is. We're figuring it out. your feedback is why you're getting the discount price. So thank you for the feedback. You're doing your job. I'm doing my job. Everything's good. Instead of having a really bad customer experience, and customer support issues and all that kind of stuff, the beta pricing gives you that buffer to make you look good no matter what happens with the experience. Like when we rolled this out, it's still got a beta bug on 3 of the programs. Like if you look at the programs that you get with this, you get all these, and we realized that HeyGen, DID, and Synthesia has a problem with the API gateways. We haven't quite figured it out yet, but all the rest of them work perfectly. But those, we'll eventually get that figured out. You'll get access to all of those. But a lot of these programs are more than $47 a month just for a single one of these. So to have access to all of this for $47 a month, and I knew this works because the Chat Playground did it. They took Chat GPT and Perplexity and a couple other of the text-based AI products and put them together for like $20 a month. The same price that you would pay for Chat GPT, but you get all of the text-based programs. So I knew that worked. So I figured, why not do this with all of them? So, and then this was cool. This is my guy at Logo Animators, made the logo for me. Actually, Quantum made the logo, but he just animated it. You give him your logo and he'll run it through this animation process. So pretty cool stuff. Anyway, you got the link for Quantum now. Or Apex, rather.
I do. I'm having a problem with the password. I'll figure that out though.
Okay, that's another thing on Apex. When did you buy it?
At Craig's thing, or shortly thereafter.
Okay. Just send me an email and I'll make sure that you get the password for it.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Because
I'll do that.
I still haven't got the password thing automated on account creation. I finally
Gotcha.
got it. I finally got it for Quantum. Now, when you order Quantum, it automatically creates the Quantum account, sends you the login access and all that. But I'm still not to that point with Apex yet.
Okay, I'll shoot you an email now. Thank you.
Apex was one I'm like, shit, I jumped in to something I wasn't quite ready to jump into, but it's okay. I can manually generate the logins for it at this point. We're not selling it like mainstream. You guys are really the only ones that have ever seen it, that even have access to it. So not a big deal. All right. Anything else before you guys got enough to keep you busy between now and the end of the year?
A little bit.
You got a pretty aggressive checklist to work on, but keep coming back, stay in the conversation. This stuff is really important. If you want to be successful at business, this is all the stuff you got to do. And, I'm here every Thursday for nothing more than to help you. So if you notice, I'll get on and I'll talk about whatever, but I would rather talk about what's important to you. So don't ever feel afraid to like say, hey, I need help with this. I don't understand this. Can you talk about this? I'll go in any direction that you guys want. It's not a problem. I would prefer that anyway, because then I don't have to think about it. I can just give you what you want. Everybody's happy. When you guys don't speak up, I kind of, a lot of times I kind of just feel like I'm rambling on and like, God, is this helping anybody? I know it is though, because every
This is great. This is really
yeah,
good.
John, I mean, I remember, I mean, I'd known you for years before I came on this call, and I want to say it was 2018 or 2019. I started coming on the call, and for years I would just sit and listen, sit and listen, sit and listen, and it shocked me during the pandemic how many times I went, "Oh, just do this," because I kept listening to it over and over again, You know what I mean? So like when you think you're rambling on, trust me, it's not. And then there's times that I go, oh, wait a minute, that was on one of John's calls. And I go back through the freaking database to find the call and listen to it again.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah.
Agree. Just hearing it, it's kicking off. Oh yeah, I know I need to build a funnel. Well, how do I do that? Well, now so it's building. The knowledge base is building, just like Tim said.
Yeah. And even, you say a funnel and some people won't even know what that is. They just like, oh, funnel. What is it? What are you talking about? All a funnel is a sales process. That's all it is, and I use Kartra for it. Kartra, I have this ability to like see all the pieces in my head and move them around and put them together. And a lot of people, I get it. A lot of people don't have that. And that's where Gina's methodology of, you don't have to rattle all around in your head, put it on the stickies and let's move them around and, work the sequence out and then go ahead and build it. You know what you're doing. You're building a roadmap. I build the roadmaps in my head on the fly and I get it. I'm probably messed up in the head or whatever, but most people can't do that.
Well, you are a madman, and we all know that.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with what Brian said earlier that this review process actually makes for a really good checklist of what to attack as we work on new things. And I think that this is great that you assembled this all in one place, because I'm going to refer back to these 3 pages of notes that I made. I mean, it's boiled down to 3 pages, but this is a really valuable checklist that we created.
Yeah, and it's really good, like when you guys ask me stuff, because I can assure you there's more stuff that I've forgotten than I have top of mind. And it's not that I forgot it, it's still there. If you ask, I'll access it and give it to you. But like top of mind, I can assure you there's 100 times more that I've forgotten than I can remember off the top of my head. But it's all there and I know how to access it. So as soon as you ask, it'll come right up.
There's a point to that too, John. I mean, many people know. I mean, I've had a very, very tough year, and when you're in the bottom, you can't think of everything. All right.
Yeah.
But you come on a call like this, and you're sitting there just listening, and it's I mean, I have a lot of things playing, and Gina asks a question. I'm like, oh, that's it, damn it, and I'm moving you aside, and I'm back to work, or Brian asks a question, same thing, because you say three lines into it, and I'm like. Yep, John told me that 3 years ago. And there it is,
Yeah, I'm fairly consistent on the way I do stuff. So it's not like you're going to hear it once here and then it's going to be totally different next week. It all follows a very, very structured path.
And for most of the people in the room, they're smarter than me, so they don't have to hear it 72 times before they go, hey, I should try that.
Oh, don't beat yourself up. There's a lot of it that I don't,
Yeah.
I know it. I don't do it.
We all do.
It's
We all
okay.
do. Yeah.
Don't think you got to do everything on that list because you're going to hurt yourself. You'll probably wind up not doing anything because it's just too much.
Well, no, I mean, I'm working on a thing because of newsletter because of this story I'm in. I'm creating a newsletter around it. And some of you see my Facebook post. I'm like, well, it's been a challenging year. If you'd like to follow my comeback, sign up for my newsletter. And a lot of people are like, oh, man, they're coming up, hey, you doing all right, man? You doing all right? And I'm like, what you don't get was I did that to generate leads, to get you to sign up for my newsletter. And the one story that we were putting together for this week's newsletter is, do you remember in the movie The Replacements, Keanu Reeves, and they said, what is the one thing that gets you on the field? And he goes, quicksand.
Yeah, I love
And that is it in a nutshell, all of us, quicksand. One thing goes wrong, and then another, and then another, and then and pretty soon you can't move. It's like quicksand.
Yeah. Well, I'm always here to pull you out of the quicksand if you get stuck. So
I'm glad that you use the tactic of saying, if you want to follow my comeback, get on my newsletter. And that's better than what Dan Kennedy said, where he claimed that he was dying, and that created a big stir, and he was actually okay the entire time.
Yeah, like I said, be integrous with everything you do. Don't, you don't need to be an asshole.
Well, I mean, well, that being said, John, all right, I'm gonna be very vulnerable for some of you guys. Is like I'm in a situation where I got to raise cash quick before the end of the year, and I'm about to go. Okay, let me just be honest with my list. I never sell. I never come out there and try to sell you on something. I look for what opportunities you need and I try to connect you to them. And I'm going to go, here's 6 opportunities I have right now. If anybody needs this, call me. Or if you know somebody needs this, call me because I need to raise cash.
Yeah.
And what's the worst that's going to happen is someone's going to say, yeah, I could use that ACT program today. Now, I'm not going to get paid right away, but what does it do? It makes me open the door to connect the people to the dots I have.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm thinking about doing for an email this weekend because I need to raise cash.
Yeah, the more truthful you are about it, you will have people in there that want, they bond with you. They know, like, and trust you, and they'll go out of their way to help you.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate you letting me mentioning that.
That's the beauty of building this. You're building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
All businesses, relationships. The better the relationship, the better your life's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
If you do this stuff like telling people you're dying when you're not, and they get onto it, they don't trust you now. You've just destroyed a lot. You destroyed relationships in mass quantity in one sweep. That's not going to be good for your life.
Mm.
So don't do that. I'm just gonna be blunt. Don't do that. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, anything else before we wrap up? I got another night of parade ahead of me here, and it was interesting. Last night I dropped everybody off and it was crystal clear blue skies, and I get back, drop the hook, and within about a half hour the place was fogged in and raining. I'm like, wow, what a difference a half hour makes.
Yeah, we had divine intervention. Thank you, John.
Yeah, you guys got the perfect window, I tell you.
It was beautiful.
Hopefully we'll get another one tonight. So, all right. Well, I will let you guys get on with it. I want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and the New Year. We will see you right after the New Year. If you run into trouble or need me for anything, just, reach out. But we won't do a call next week because it's like the day after Christmas. And, you guys should be playing with your families and all of that good stuff. So
We're building floats.
yeah.
I won't be in front of a computer the day after Christmas. I'm staying away from this thing. It's shut down.
Yeah.
As it should be. You need some downtime. So, and if you find that you really need something to do, you got a nice list to fall back on now.
Yep. Yep.
Well, thank you very much for this session. This was awesome.
Thank you, John.
Cool.
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
All right. Well, we will see you in the new year, if not before, and I'll have a lot of exciting new stuff for you. I'm gonna do it one more time in 2025. I'm gonna start off with some new stuff that will be available, and then after that, I'm gonna ride the XRP wave. So I probably won't be creating a lot of new stuff beyond that. All right. Well, have a great week. Great rest of the year.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
We will see you soon.